Guys, if you got tens of thousands of dollars just sitting in the bank somewhere, you're probably losing money every day, every single day. Even if you never spent a dime of that money, you're probably still losing money. Money in the bank feels safe, right? I get it. But the real question we got to ask ourselves is it smart? Because cash feels good, right? Let's be real with it. But the problem is safety and growth are two different things, right? You got to take some risk. So let's just have this real money conversation for a minute. Not super duper in-depth about financial this and financial that. No charts and no financial theories or any of that. Just real life stuff that we need to get clear about. See, most people are super duper proud of a big bank balance. Ooh, I got $30,000, $50,000, $60,000. And emotionally, I get it. That number feels like you have a sort of sense of control. But money sitting still is really just money that's quietly losing value, because money should be working, right? Here's the truth that a lot of people never get told or don't hear. Money is either doing two things. It's either working for you or it's working against you. Cash does one thing really well. Cash gives you flexibility and a certain feeling, right? And all that's cool. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's not. It's a good thing. But cash don't build wealth. Let me say that again, okay? Cash does not build wealth, right? Cash is a preserver. Cash is a safety net. It's not a builder of wealth. Why? Because cash does not keep up with inflation, right? We got this little thing called inflation that affects the value of our dollar, of our money. So cash don't buy you future freedom, right? Good safety net, no doubt, but it's not a good wealth builder. So we want to be in the habit of building wealth, right? Not just preserving and holding on and clenching our fists around our money and hoarding our money. We want to be a person that is building wealth. So, because the goal is not to hoard this cash and have a bunch of cash. The goal is to put the money where it has a job. Give the money a job. Go out and do something for me. You want to put your money to work for you, right? You be the employer and your money is like an employee. Let's talk it like basketball, right? Think of cash as your bench players, right? Cash is your bench in terms of basketball. Assets, appreciating assets, are your starters to get out there and work hard for you. So let me just say it like this. You need a good, solid bench player, right? You need bench players that are solid, right? They're important. The bench is really important in a basketball game. If you're a coach, right? I was a basketball coach for 13 years, right? So I need my bench to be good and solid and there when I need them. The bench is there to fill in when my starters need some rest, when my main guys need to sit down for a while, right? But I got to have my starters out there winning the game for me. So your appreciating assets are your starters in a basketball game. They're the ones that really get the job done and do their job, and we win the game with these appreciating assets, with these starters. And my cash is my bench. I need my cash. They're very important, super important. But I don't want to rely on my bench to win the game of life, of money, right? Don't get me wrong. The bench or the cash, gotta have them. I'm not going to win the game of money relying on my bench, my cash. That cash is going to keep me afloat, but my appreciating assets, them are the game changers. I'm relying on those things to do what they got to do. Now, kind of a weird analogy, but it's the way I look at it, right? Now, let's talk about the number that everybody always asks about. So how much cash is enough cash in the bank? What should we have? Here's the deal. For most working adults, 3 to 9 months of expenses is really the sweet spot. Like, I could tell you 3 months, 4 months, but it's really what's best for you and your situation. About 3 to 6 months is what you always hear. 3 to 6 months of your needs or 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Either one, your choice, okay? There's no one size fits all in this whole money conversation. 3 months is your minimum safety net. Of course, if you don't have nothing saved up for an emergency fund, you want to have at least $3,000, right? To get you started while you pay off some debt and stuff like that. But you want to get, so ultimately you want to get up to at least 3 months of your expenses or your needs. You choose. Right now, 6 months is comfortable for most people. 9 months of emergency expenses or your needs set aside, your monthly needs, 9 months of your monthly needs, that's a strong bench, right? And some people, they don't like a lot of risk. They want a really strong bench. But at some point, your bench becomes so strong that you got to ask yourself, why ain't you a starter? Right? Think about it like this. Your cash, you have so much cash built up. At some point, you got to say, okay, I got to get you out there working for me. Otherwise, you costing me money sitting over here in the bank, right? And inflation is out there at 3%, and then you in the bank over here at getting 0.0001%. I got to put you to work at some point. So anything, in my opinion, beyond 8 or 9 months of monthly expenses in cash or in the bank is too much. You need to start asking yourself, why don't I have this cash out here working hard for me? You got a year or 2 years worth of your expenses saved up. You got to start saying, okay, I need to put this money out there instead of just sitting right here in the bank. Is it strategy or is it fear? What's going on with me? Why do I have 2 years worth of cash sitting around and I'm 33 years old, right? Like, what's going on? And look, I know you watch these videos. Let me say this because this is really important. I know you watch these videos and these YouTubers that say cash is dead and emergency, America's running out of cash and we're in trouble and all that. Listen, you have to figure out the balance of keeping too much cash versus what is the right amount of cash for you and your situation and your willingness to take some risk. Quick question. How many months of expenses do you keep in cash right now? Drop that number in the comments below and let me know. I'm curious, right? Just put a number in the comments if you want. Now, let me talk about this little nuance that needs to be discussed. And this is the fact that as your age changes, everything in this equation sort of changes. Here's where a lot of advice gets messed up. I want to explain this. Age matters when you're talking about how much money should I have saved up for cash or in cash in the bank for emergencies. Age matters. Let me say it like this. If you're in your 30s or 40s and you plan to work another 15, 20, 30 years, parking massive amounts of your money, more than a year or 2 years worth of your money in cash is hurting you, right? Let's just be honest about it. It's hurting you. You got too much money in cash. That's why there's no one size fits all answer. It depends on everybody's situation is different. But here's the deal. The reason you're being hurt by having too much cash when you're sitting at 15, 20 more years worth of work is that you need time in the market, in the stock market. And time is your best friend. You need time in the market, not time watching your bank app, right? Or going down to the bank once or twice a week, checking on your balance, right? You don't want to be watching all your money at the bank getting almost 0% interest, because that's basically you're losing money every day because inflation is destroying you. You don't want to let that happen. And not to mention the assets that you need to accumulate, appreciating assets, they need time to grow. Now look, you may be watching this, hey, look, I'm a nomad. I don't want to have no assets. I want to move from country to country to country. That's cool. In that case, look, you a person that needs to let the money grow, then you probably need to have most of your money in the stock market growing so that you can take advantage of that growth, that higher growth, because you're using the money right now, right? Whatever it could be. Maybe you need to live a frugal life. But watch this now. If you're near retirement or near the point where you want to use the money, say within 5 years from now, 5 years of retirement, whatever you're doing with the money, we're having a whole different conversation about how much money you need to have. See, when you're getting close to using the money that you need, you actually should have more money in cash at that point. And here's why. Because you're about to use the money. You're not just growing the money at this point. You 3, 4, 5 years from using the money. Now let me give you this retirement strategy. This is gold, okay? Listen closely. This is where smart retirees separate themselves. In retirement, or when you're trying to use the money, your money still needs to be mostly invested in the stock market, in your ETFs, your index funds, your mutual funds, whatever it may be. But you also need a nice cash buffer. You need a bigger cash buffer when you're about to use the money. Why? Because when the stock market goes up, that's when you want to be selling your shares or pulling your money from stocks to use the money. When the stock market is up and it's doing well, it's going well. Yay, the stock market is up 10% this year, 15% this year, 20%. That's when you want to be pulling money from the stock market. And when the stock market goes down, oh my gosh, stocks are down. Stocks aren't looking good. That's when you want to be living off the cash that you've accumulated, right? That way you avoid, here's why, you avoid selling your shares of stock low. Remember, you want to be pulling from your shares of stock when they're high because you're selling shares high, right? You always want to sell your shares or your stocks and get the money out when your shares or your stocks are up high. That's how you sort of protect your portfolio and protect your lifestyle, right? You're not guessing. You're not managing cash flow. So let me be clear about what I just said. When you're within 5 years of pulling your money out, you need to build up your cash to be a good amount, like, 70, 80, 90, 100,000, 200,000. But you still want to have a vast majority of your money in the stock market. And again, when the stock market is up, you're drawing money from stocks. When the stock market's down, you're drawing money from your stash of cash. Very important. Now let's talk about this concept of flipping money, because this is one that I see people it's a really basic concept. This is a concept that I live by and I manage my money by. And that is this: cash is always losing value due to inflation. So whenever possible, you want to flip money ASAP, right? As soon as possible. In other words, when you get paid a check, you need to invest your money off top, off the rip, off tease, whatever you call it, wherever you're at. As soon as you get it, start investing with it. Yeah, you want to pay your bills. I know you got to pay lights, water, gas, and all that, right? Figure out what that cushion of money is, and off the top, invest that money into something that's going up in value, appreciating assets that grow. Don't let money sit idle without a purpose. You flip depreciating dollars into appreciating assets as soon as you can. As soon as money hits your hand, or as soon as money hits your bank account from your job, you get paid. As soon as that happens, pay yourself. Invest. This is how wealth, and then listen, I know that sounds like really elementary, right? You're like, okay, we know that. But here's the deal. A lot of people don't do it. The first thing a lot of people do is they pay their bills. Paying bills is cool, it's important. You got to have somewhere to live. You got to eat, all that good stuff. But you need to hurry up and flip that money into something going up in value. Don't flip it. Get out of the habit of flipping the money into clothes, right? Get out of the habit of flipping money into shoes. Out of the habit of flipping money into getting your hair done. Get out of the habit of flipping money into concert tickets and sporting events. I mean, all that stuff is fine. You want to have fun, but listen to me. You got to prepare to say, look, I got to flip this money first. If anything left over, then I can go to the concert. Anything left over, then we can go do some things with it. But you got to make sure that you're flipping money. Listen, that's how wealth is actually built. At the basic fundamental level, the easy level. Sometimes we make this thing hard. Sometimes we make this thing complicated. It's complex. It's too difficult. No, it ain't too difficult. You don't have the right priorities, and you're unorganized, and you're doing other things first before you invest in the money. This is not rocket science. You turn your cash into money, appreciating assets as quick as possible. Build up that emergency fund. Build up to make sure you have enough money, whether it's 3 months of your living expenses, or it's 9 months, or it's a year of your living expenses, whatever it may be. But then you got to start making sure you're flipping money on a regular basis as quick as possible. If any of what I'm talking about in this video is making sense to you, I break it all down much deeper in my book, Manage Your Way to Millions. It's not about hype or shortcuts or fluff or any of that. That book is about building a system that actually works for you in real life. Now, I'll link it below in the description box if you want to go deeper. So here's the main thing I want you to remember about this video. Most of us generally don't want more than 9 months of expenses or needs in cash, unless you're within 5 years of retirement, or you're about to use that money for something specific, as in some big appreciating asset that you're about to acquire. Everything else, though, your money needs to be working for you. At some point, you want your money working harder for you than you work for it. That's when you know. That's when you know, hey, you're building some serious wealth at this point. It's really about just being intentional with your money, right? And I run into too many people that have this fear of the stock market, or this fear of putting their money to work, or this fear of putting their money into an asset class other than cash. But the deal is this: you got to drop the fear off. The fear is only keeping you too scared to build real wealth. You got to take some risk with your dollars. Keep whatever amount of your monthly expenses off to the side in cash, or at your local bank, or your high yield savings account, wherever you want to keep it, your money market account. But you got to start giving all the other dollars a roll. You're not on this planet just to pay bills and exist. That's not living. You're supposed to build wealth. You're supposed to be a good steward, a wise steward over your financial affairs. You're supposed to take money and make it grow for you. This is a principle. You're not supposed to take all your money and hoard it up in a bank account down the street. You're supposed to take your money, what you get, what you're given, and you're supposed to multiply it. And you do that by taking some risk with that money. That means investing. Never keeping too much money, right? Never keeping over a certain amount in your bank account, but at the same time, making the rest of it grow. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this quick talk. I just wanted to break this thing down because I see so many people nowadays who are scared. Scared because of the YouTube videos. Scared because of the podcasts they listen to. Scared because of what they're seeing on TV. Fear sells, right? Don't get caught up in it. I see people keeping too much money in cash. I know I always say on this channel, hey, you got to have enough money for emergencies. But you have to know when enough is enough for your situation. Listen, if you want something practical to take action, I have a free debt snowball worksheet that helps you organize your money and build momentum through getting rid of bad debt. Now, the link to that free debt snowball worksheet is below. And if you want the full system, my full system, just check us out over at smartmoneybro.com, okay? Remember, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is not your kids, it's not your grandkids, it's not the nursing home, it's not the government, right? The best person who's going to take care of that old you is the young you, the you today. Guys, take care of your people, right? But don't forget to take care of yourself, because you're people too. Until the next video, peace.